We're re-recording this. This show has been, this class has been on my channel. I actually have 2 YouTube channels. I'll tell you about them in a little bit. I wanted to update the data because it's actually changed just a little bit, and there's a couple of other interesting bits in it that I want to introduce you to, so then that way you understand how those work, okay? MagTech has maintained their high quality during the ammo panic and ramped production to the max. Their ammo is the only ammo I run on the range because of its performance and reliability. I recommend MagTech wholeheartedly. Our class tonight, self-defense for women. I am the owner of Active Self-Protection, and like Lisa said, she asked me a number of years ago if I would kind of do that. I think if I remember the story correctly, she's like, hey, we had a guy that did it this first year and I wasn't so sure about that, so we're gonna take another swing at this and maybe we can do it a little different way. And this class has changed radically in the last however many 7, 8, 9 years that we've done it because of some research that we've done to make it better. But I want you guys to recognize this. So my name is John Correia. I'll tell you a little bit about me in a little bit, but I'm just here to help, okay? So this isn't me like, oh, I know all things and I'm the guru of all things. I'm just here to be kind of a guide on the side. So if you got questions, if you're wondering, wait, where did you get that information from? I've got a whole bunch of data here for you so that you can kind of take that for what it is and for what it's worth. I'm gonna bury you in data for a little bit because I want to actually open your eyes. Because one of the things that we are really bad at as humans is risk analysis. The things that we are most worried about are generally not problems, and then the things that really are problems, we don't worry about so much. I'll give you a great for instance of that. Does anyone here have a fear of flying? Yeah, I do, right? So which is goofy because I got my pilot's license last year. So I get really anxious in turbulence, right? When the plane's bumping around, and you're like, oh, we're all gonna die. Do you know how many US commercial airliners have ever crashed because of turbulence? 0. It has literally never happened. And yet, I get worried. Why? Because anxiety is irrational, is the bottom line. So it's far more dangerous to drive to the airport than it is to get on the airplane and fly around the world. But our brain doesn't process those things as equal threats, and so we get anxious over things that aren't real threats and not anxious over things that we really should worry about in reality because we're really bad at risk analysis. I'm not trying to be like, you know, a political or anything like that, but have you seen some of that in our modern world? And people going, wait, what is a risk and what's not a risk and how am I going to do that? And I'm sure you're going, oh, John's dancing around COVID stuff. And I'm not going to tell you my understanding of all that. I'm just going to say we really don't do a great job of risk analysis in some capacities, do we? So I want to help you kind of see the realities of that, so then that way you can kind of take a look at some of those things and be a little bit more evidence-based. But if you got questions on that, I'm about that life. What we're not going to do tonight, I'll tell you some of that stuff. But here's the thing. If you want a copy of this presentation, by the way, you're more than welcome. You can just go right there. It is on my link shortening website is get-asp.com/ and then women's self-defense key is that you can get this. And so all the data is there. If you're like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? Where'd I get it? How did that go? What are the points? You can just get it right there. Or I'll send you a link over email after this gets done. We're re-recording this. This show has been, this class has been on my channel. I actually have 2 YouTube channels. I'll tell you about them in a little bit. I wanted to update the data because it's actually changed just a little bit, and there's a couple of other interesting bits in it that I want to introduce you to, so then that way you understand how those work, okay? So tonight, what do I want to get done tonight? What do I want you to see? First of all, I want you to understand the true evidence-based statistical risks that women face. What are the true evidence-based statistical risks that women face? I call myself an evidence-based defensive trainer. Anybody here work in medicine? Okay, Laura's the only one. All right. So in medicine, they have this thing called evidence-based medicine. And if you talk to somebody who's in medicine, their eye will start to twitch when you talk about evidence-based medicine. But where they start to talk about this is they say, wait a minute, what's the best research we have? And then what is the skill and the experience of the medical practitioner? And then what are the values and the experience of the patient? And where those 3 circles overlap, we find the sweet spot of evidence-based medicine. So what I try to do is, what's the best research we have? I'm going to give you the very best information I have as a defensive practitioner and teacher, and we combine that with your own experience, your own abilities, and your own value system. And where we find the sweet spot of those three, you have evidence-based defensive training. So that's what my goal is to help you with, okay? So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not going to tell you, some people are like, you got to tell every woman in America to carry a gun. I don't think every woman in America should carry a gun. Well, oh, wait, what? And I'm a gun guy. Right? I mean, I think every woman in America should be able to carry a gun, but I don't think they should necessarily carry a gun. There's a lot of things I think people should be able to do that a lot of people shouldn't do. So I'm going to try to give you and understand what the statistical risks are. I want to help you understand and apply the most critical skills to prevent you from being victimized. Keep you from being chosen as a victim, allow you to escape victimization. The most important things are not haya. I love me some haya, right? I love martial arts. I'll go to class all the time. I've got 15 plus years of martial arts study. But we're gonna talk about what those are. We're gonna understand the factors involved in prevailing in a defensive encounter. If you get involved in criminal violence, if you're chosen as a victim, what are the most important things you gotta have in order to prevail in that? And we'll talk about what your lifetime risks are there. And then understand the proper place of tools and introduce to their proper employment. I'm not going to push any particular tool on you, okay? I'm not going to tell you got to have a whiz-bang thing. I will tell you, just an aside, most of what is marketed to women in the self-defense realm is hokum. Most of it is really just a ploy to take your money from you. And it makes you feel good, and it's a lucky rabbit's foot. You've seen those like, oh, it's like a cute little like Hello Kitty thing, and you hold it between your fingers, and who has ever heard that advice? Just put your keys between your fingers and punch a guy in the face, and you'll be totally safe. That is garbage. Please don't do that. What you will succeed in doing is breaking your hand and pissing him off. I'm not joking. And if you really doubt me and you think that's the greatest thing, I will challenge you to put your keys between your fingers and punch me in the arm as hard as you can. You'll do it one time. You maybe scratch me. You might need a cast at the end of it. But I'll let you. Go ahead. Punch me as hard as you can. Not in the face, please. Pretty please with sugar on top. So trying to get away from that stuff. Or look, you know what they mostly for women's self-defense products? It's pink. And it's zap noises. It makes noises like a bug zapper. That's not helpful. It's not going to help you if you really need something. So I don't want to do that stuff. I want to help you in those. So a little bit about me. Why am I teaching this class to you? That's me. Those words are too small up there for you to read, so I'll tell you about them. So I founded a company called Active Self Protection in 2011. This is my wife Laura, and we moved to the Valley in 2002. So I've been in the Valley now for almost 20 years. Moved here for me to go to seminary. I pastored a church here in the Phoenix metro area, 2 different churches, one in the city of Maricopa, one in Glendale, for a total of 14 years. I got into self-defense because here in the Valley, I was actually out in Litchfield Park running a retail store when the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 came out, running a video game store, and managers were getting mugged and even killed for them. This is back before social media, of course, but eBay existed and people were making crazy money on these systems on the secondary market around Christmas time. And I was like, nah, fam, that ain't gonna be me. And so my son got me into self-defense a little bit. We were homeschoolers. He was using karate as his extracurricular activity. Papa, come take karate with me. So I agreed to do that after seminary. I got into that with him. And then in 06, I started carrying a gun because why? I wasn't gonna get mugged. I wasn't gonna get mugged for an Xbox. That's why I did it. So guess what I did? I went and took a little concealed carry permit class in Arizona, and I bought the wrong gun. I put it with the wrong ammo. I put it in the wrong holster, and I carried it around as a lucky rabbit's foot to ward away danger for a number of years. And you're like, wait, what? Quite frankly, I probably wasn't in the beginning good enough with that gun to use it as anything more than a noisemaker. I am very scared, leave me alone. And then I was like, as I was getting better at martial arts, I was like, gosh, if I'm gonna carry this gun, it's a non-zero risk to me and to mine. And so I better get good with it. So I started training. Anybody here ever taken a firearms class? They're expensive, right? You agree with me? Right? You shoot ammo, it gets expensive, so I gotta find a way to write that off. I gotta find a way to make this cheaper. I know, I'll start teaching classes. That's my core competency, right? I'm a pastor, I'm a Bible professor. I'll start teaching classes. So that's why I founded Active Self Protection, to write off ammo. And then it grew a little bit. I started having a social media presence, and now it's my full-time gig.
Okay, so it's been my full-time gig. In fact, today marks 4 years since I've had another job. 4 years ago today, I stood there on a Sunday morning, not in this building, but you get my point, and said, I quit. I love you all, and this is my last Sunday. Have a nice day. And I love you, and it was maybe a little bit more emotional than that, but. So I'm an NRA Range Master, Sig Sauer Academy certified handgun instructor. I'm actually a master firearms instructor. I've got about 1,100 hours of instruction as a student in handgun use. As far as empty-handed skills, I have a second-degree black belt in a derivative of Kempo at Attitude First Martial Arts Academy in North Phoenix. I'm a white belt in jiu-jitsu. That face was after me getting smashed by a Brazilian national champion black belt in jiu-jitsu. He choked me like a kitten. He was like, you're so cute. And then he choked me, and I was like, okay, stop. And I got up, and the photographer who was with me, I looked at him like, that hurt, and click. And that's what that picture is. I'm also a Force Science Institute certified force science analyst. So that's, if you've ever seen me or you go, I know that guy from somewhere. So I run the largest self-defense related YouTube channel in the world. Our big channel, Active Self-Protection, has about a little more than 2.5 million subscribers. We get about 50 million views a month. So what people do, every single day of the year, I post a surveillance footage of somebody's real-life self-defense encounter. Somebody got in a real-life self-defense encounter. So what happened, and what can we learn from it? And how can we make ourselves safer with it? So that's every single day of the year. We do 7 videos a week of surveillance footage of somebody's real-life self-defense encounter. Monday, Wednesday, Friday afternoon, we post a badge cam. So that's because they're used in law enforcement academies, and also I want to teach private citizens what cops actually go through. Because a lot of times I've had plenty of people go, man, I was really mad at the cops and this really sucks. And then I start watching your videos and go, good, geez, that's a hard job. Yeah, it's a really hard job. And generally speaking, they do a really good job. And occasionally they do a really bad job. And guess what? Every cop in America wants to see the really bad job so they can not do that job and do better at it. So that we do those every week. I have a second channel, Active Self-Protection Extra, where we post 9 videos a week. We teach skills there, so we do handgun skills, legal and moral self-defense. My niece Natalie is now, every single week she has a video on the channel where she's started 1 year ago. She decided she wanted to carry a gun, and she lives in South Dakota. So at 18, you can conceal carry a firearm without a permit from the government. And so she started doing that. She's like, Uncle John, I'm gonna carry a gun. And I was like, God bless America. She's like, I think I should get good at that though. I agree. And so she started training with us, and every week we post a video of her training journey. So it's kind of fun. So there's all that. And in order to do the main channel, I got certified by the Force Science Institute, which is a premier analysis of use of force institute in America. They've been around for about 30 years. And in fact, I was the first non-sworn officer to take that certification ever. Dr. Lewinsky let me in that. I don't think I was anything special. I think I was part of them rethinking their process, but now they'll let really highly qualified non-sworn people in there. But I was the first one, so I was like, ha! I'll tell all my friends who are non-sworn, I'm the reason you get to do that. That's not true, but that's what I tell them. Let's see, I've spent 9 years teaching undergraduates and graduate students here in the Valley. I taught at Arizona Christian University for 9 years, and I taught at Phoenix Seminary for 5 years. So teaching is kind of my core competency. I taught in the Bible department at ACU. Yeah, I was Stephanie's Bible prof back in the old country, right? And so in order to post right now, if you went to go to the Active Self-Protection YouTube channel, you would find right at 2,500 videos on that channel. You'd find, you could just jump right down a rabbit hole if you want to watch what happens in real life self-defense. So there's about 2,500 of them, and I analyze about 10 videos for every video that we post. So I've analyzed somewhere in the neighborhood of 35,000 defensive encounters at this point. And so I tell folks all the time in the defensive training community and in the general community, people go, oh, well, John, you know, here's how real life gunfights go. And I go, really? Tell me more. And they go, well, you know, John, you got to do this or that. And I go, that's really funny, man. And analyzing 35,000 encounters, I've never seen that. Well, we know it happens all the time. Really? Tell me more about this all the time that I've never seen. So my goal is just to help people go, this is kind of what really goes down, and here's what we see all the time, and here's how it goes, okay?